through the effort of the mensch, על יודו ממשיכים את עצמוסי ומהוסי יסבורך, יש למעלה מהעולם. Like we said, that which is shot to the world is just what we call ha'oras, or gilui matzumtzam, from Hashem, of his own very essence, and how the essence is completely beyond any limitation, that should enter the limited world. Well, that's a tremendously consummate idea. You have the union of the blivo absolute with the gavul. Well, that's a completely different and chiddushtik idea which occurs precisely through the Veda ultimately. Not to mention his presence, but his effort and his Veda. So therefore, says the Rebbe, ממשיכים את העצמוס המהוסי יסבורך של המילה מהעולם כפי שיסבור להלן. It's going to be explained as we go along. כך שלמעשה המקביל לשתי דרגות אלו הוא. He said, so in action, what actually occurs parallel to these two levels, that first of all there's a shleima shemitzad ha'olam, atzmai, that the world, the way it was made by Hashem, was a perfect world. I mean, we couldn't imagine anything more perfect the way it was before the Chait, particularly. And Gan Eden was Mohim Shechina, the titanium, but the whole thing was beautiful and unbelievable perfection. Or later on we're going to explain rather deeply just how Yidden are, even before they do their work, even before they do what they're supposed to do. There's a value just in having Yidden in the world. That's part of the perfection. Because Yidden are a chelek halakai, they're a divine portion. They're part of the perfection, and they're even a higher level in that perfection of the way the world is made. So just having Yidden in the world, if they didn't do anything, that's part of the first perfection. However, what we want, he said, that's all lifnei kiyum haTorah v'ha mitzvot. That's all before we get to the work on the part of man. V'ashleima shabo alidei aveda Torah v'mitzvot. Through the effort that a mensch makes, to work and bring down Torah mitzvah through his aveda, that's a shleimus noisefes ba'ilam. Of Bnei Yisrael, Amekayimim es mitzvah, that even though Yidden are perfection the way they are, but when they do Torah mitzvahs, then they reach a much higher perfection in themselves, and they bring, through their effort, a much greater perfection into the world. And so much is that new perfection that it's dear Allah Yisborah, it's mamish, atzmus yamuhusay. So lahalon yavua keitzad shtei dagas eilu boes lidei bitui v'kama pratim. He said, as we go ahead now, we're going to explain how these two levels, they come to their expression through different details, hamutziyonim b'simonim hanal, which are hidden in these symbols that the great sages gave in reference to how Rosh Hashanah occurs and so on. So let's see what they are. So he said, a siman harishon hu, miyusad al lashon aposik. That's one on that in Daniel, right at the very beginning, it's told how after Babel had conquered Eretz Yisrael, that they took a large, well, for that matter, almost all the population into Golos. And so the king of Babel, he wanted to take, he knew the Yidden were very gifted and intellectual people. He wanted to take several of the really brilliant members of the royal family from the Jewish people into his court that they should help him and serve him and give him advice. And he would look after them. He promised that he would look after them. And how did he promise that he would look after them? He said that they would eat the same food as what he eats. And he would feed them and everything. So So Daniel was one of them. There were two others. Daniel said right from the beginning that he's not going to eat this food. man is going to bring about this new realm and this new addition, which is called Letake. Yeah, and he said that's going to be done through the Avodas Adam, and later, after Matan Torah, that's going to be through the Kiyum HaTorah V'HaMitzvah. But we're going to see that Adam Arishon, on the first day of the creation, of his creation, I mean, he carried out already a inyan that he made, announced the whole rulership of Hashem over the whole Bria, and that was the beginning of the revelation of this new perfection. So he says, Peshore shel tikun v'yisofazu, the explanation, and like what you might call the unfolding or the solution of this tikun v'yisofa means like this. Dagas elikus ha-me'ira ba'olam mitzad briosai l'lavei avodas adam hi daga mesuyemet. Yeah, that's very nice, and it's for sure a very special and remarkable level. However, it's a daga be'erech ha'olam. Yeah, it's got some reference to the Erech Hashem revealed himself in a way that he produced this world. He said, but it's not the very essence of Hashem, that he is incomparably and uncomparably so he said, נמשכת באילם דאגס אלוקות שבפני עצמוי נילס ממנו לאין הרי. It is completely, incomparably higher than the whole world. And that's what man is all about. And that brings down Mahusi Vatzmusi is Bora. That brings down the very essence of Hashem, Atzmai, not just how he relates to the world, but how he is mitzad his own self, completely higher than all the world. And that is carried out through Avodas Adam. So Shekain Zui Amayla Miyuchedet Shebekiyam HaMitzvahs, that when we keep the mitzvahs, Shal Yodam Nasi Dira Lo Yizbara B'Taktonim. But that's what I pointed out before. The Chidush of this whole inyan is Dira B'Taktonim. And Dira indicates the very essence of the person entering the Dira. But that means that Hashem wanted that there should be a Dira in this world. The world was perfect the way it was, but he wanted an extra tikkun, that this world should be turned into a Dira for him, how he is beyond the world altogether. So the question is, if that's what you wanted, then make it. You're omnipotent, you can make it. So he said, no, I want that to be made through the Adam. They've left that activity and that pu'ulah, as we might call it, that's been left for man. And that's what he says, Shekain Zui Hamayla Miyuchedet Shebekiyam HaMitzvahs Na'aseh Dira Lo Yizbara B'Taktonim Ba'olam HaGashmi Asher Mavusei Shel Dira Ki Yadua. The whole concept and the whole essence of the word Dira as a one-on, Zu Shebo Mishkaleh Hadabo Kafi Shu. That the person who lives in the Dira, he has to appear the way he is, and he's very essence. If he just sends his coat into the Dira, that's not a Dira. Or if he just parks his car in the backyard, but he goes and lives somewhere else, that's not him in the Dira. For him to be described as being in that Dira, he's got to be there completely with his whole essence. So he said that in it is what man does. So he said that Hashem dwells in the whole world with his whole very essence. So he said, Shebo, Yemishkaleh Hador, Bo Kefishuhu, Bekol Atzmusei Mahusei. Avamira, the inyan van Oilam, that's a dargas elikus, which bears perfection. Anything which comes from Hashem, it carries with it its own perfection. But it's a level in divinity which has got a shaykhs to the world. And that means, like Siddur teaches us, that that's through tzimtzum, how to go through retraction and hiding, and through what we call hester, Yeah, Habayri me Hanivra, and so on. There's a hiding, as it were, from Hashem, even though it's perfect. And that's the level of the world, yeah, how it is Elikus Ashayat La'ilam. Once man was created, there's a whole new idea that Hashem wants him to be like a shooter. The Lashon Al-Seder was brought down in the Gemara, Masech the Shabbos, that Nasa shooter for him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem wanted there should be literally a partner, and that partner should make the new perfection in the whole world, and that new perfection is Davke Dinifan Elikus, how it is, yeah, Mitzvah HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. So how can that be? They said that's expressed in the Lashon of the Medrash, but the Alter Rebbe brings it in Tanya, in Perek Lamed Vav, the Inifan Dira lo yizbara b'tah toinim, that there should be a Dira, Davke b'tah toinim. So the Rebbe said, Inyan zeh, or this whole wondrous Inyan, these two Madrigas and how they interact in the word Rishon, that the word Rishon, Yom Rishon is the world the way it is, mitzad the Dagas of Elam, of a Yom Rishon of Rosh Hashanah, which is another concept in Rishon, that's Rishon mitzad the Adam. It's called Rishon mitzad the Adam. Why? Because it's a whole new start, it's a whole new beginning, the making of the world, Adira lo yizbara b'taktein. So he said, Inyan zeh, Marumas ba'ifan briyosha shelo Adam. So the Rebbe said, if we look carefully the way Hashem made man, we also see these two, as it were, like unusual inyanim. First of all, a limited and very hidden type of start, and then something which is essentially the divine, and they've got to dwell together. So what did Hashem make? How did Hashem make man? He made him offer minha Adama. Yeah, his body and the whole kli of the Adam, yeah, comes from the way the world's a limited world. The offer is in a Gafni and a very limited, with all sorts of limited aspects and characteristics. And what did he put in it? He put a chelek elaka mima mamish. That's what the Alter Rebbe writes in Perek Beit. In Tanya, that Yipak Bi'apo, he blew into his nose, literally, the Eberster blew into that goof, he blew a neshama. And the neshama is a chelek elakai, a divine portion, and it's well known, the famous beer in that if you say a portion, then you mean the very essence of the thing. And that's what he goes on to teach us in Tanya, that the neshama is really essence, it's essential elikud, that's mami. Yeah, Elikus. So they join up together. The Elikus, Mamish, the famous beer from the Rebbe Rashab, and the word Mamish, well, that enters the goof, and they become one in your Mamish. So the Rebbe said that's the remnants of what we just said, these two inyanim in the whole inyan of the creation and Rosh Hashanah. So he said, and therefore, on Rosh Hashanah we take a remember, and we talk about, and we remind ourselves, but the whole inyan from Briyasa, yeah, Ha'odam, as it went on. That's the whole central inyan. So he said, inyan zeh marumas, yeah, but even Briyasa shelo Adam. First of all, offer mino Adama, and after offer mino Adama, vayifa, yeah, bi'apav nishmas Chaim. So the Rebbe said, offer we yisod abriya kula. The whole world, if there wasn't offer, the whole world wouldn't hold together. Yeah. So the world, the way the world is as a creation, and as that level of elikus which is shy to creation, but that expresses itself through the union of offer. Yeah, but Briyas Adam. So what's the whole idea of Nishmas Chayim? I kolel es shtei hadarges, hanishoma shel habriya atzmo, hamiskalis davke al yedei ha'adam. So in other words, what's the type Nishmas Chayim? That literally the Alter Rebbe brings it in this week's Parashat in Mekuti Torah. The Alter Rebbe says, why is it written by the Adam? Yivra Lakim es Adam, and then it's written by Hoyo Adam Lanevesh Chayo. If you already created him, then Mr. He's a living soul. What does that add? Now, the whole aim of man is not just to be alive for himself, but to make the whole world alive. He's got to affect the whole world, and he's got to bring Elikus the whole world. So that's what the Rebbe says here. That he mitzad atzmai, the word neshama is more like referring to how he's a perfection in the bria. But however, he said there's an extra inyan, that there should be the inyan from Chaim. And Nishmas Chaim is that he has to bring Gila Elikus through the Avedis of Adam into the bria. So that's what he says, Kalema HaKoyach HaEliki HaMachayeyes Oilam Yehi Dagas Elikus HaShayach Lehem V'kein Nishmose Shel Adam Yeshi Yarei Chelech Archam Nema Mamish Once again, it's the two levels. That first of all, there's an inyan for nishmas, and there's an inyan for Chaim. That literally he brings a whole new likeness and a whole new awareness of Elikus to the whole creation. And how does he do that? Because he brings down, through his neshama, which is a chelek elakam nemal, he brings Atzmusi Muhusei into the bria. He said, Vishnei inyonim elu, or these two inyonim, Hamshachas Dagas Eloki Shabashaychas Lo'ilom, but that's a bria and a perfect world, how it was before the Chait and everything. That was a perfect world, but that was a level of Elikus which is Shayach to Oilom, Ushalamayla Me'o Oilom, and the work of Adam to bring a Chaim into the world, which is Mamish Gila Etzem Elikus. He said, Merumozim Bekama Protim Bekviyas Miyuchedes Shel Rosh Hashanah B'yomim Sheni Ushlishi B'Shavua. He said, we're going to find these inyonim hinted at, nirmaz, in what we call Pas Bagha Hamela, but that was the simon, the king's bread is base Gimel. King's bread is Rosh Hashanah, and Beis Gimel is Yom Sheni of Shlishi. So the Rebbe says that this whole inyan, that there was a creation which is Elikus Ashayah to Elamaz, and that's a perfection, but it's a perfection in a limited expression of Elikus, and then a much higher level which comes through the Adam being in the creation, but him doing his own Aveda in the creation, and through the level of his neshama, he's able to reveal Atzem Elikus and make the world into a dira. For Atzmusi is Barak. Well, those are reflected in the 2 days of Beis V'Gimel, Monday and Tuesday. So what sort of a shayah do they have? So he says, Reish is Hadova Bali De Bitui Bakach Rosh Hashanah Chal Behemshek Liyom Rishon B'Shavua, and that's B'Yom Sheni. Kamu, like we learned before, Rosh Hashanah Atzmai, Hu Gam B'Pinas Rishon, but it's a different type of Rishon. The Rishon of Yom Rishon Shalabriya is that's the beginning of a new perfection, the end of the creation. But the Rishon of Adam is the beginning of a whole new Seder of Zeh Hayom Tchilas Ma'asecha, which doesn't mean Rishon just mitzad its own self, but it means Rishon mitzad the Aveda of bringing Atzmas into the world. He said, however, the two of them are both called Rishon. Mitzad Zeh Sheboi Nivraho Adam. In other words, Rosh Hashanah is also called Rishon because of the new perfection, which is going to be brought by man. He said, Ushtei B'chinas Elu. Yom Rishon B'Shavua, B'chinas Yom Rishon Shel Rosh Hashanah, which occurs on Yom Sheni. Zikorin Yom Rishon. It's not only Rishon mitzad Tchilas Ma'asecha, but we also say in Musaf Zikorin Yom Rishon, which means that we link it up with Yom Rishon. And it's explained in Chassidus, why is it called Zikorin Yom Rishon? Because it's only a zeicher, it's a whole new inyan of its own right, so therefore it's only like a remembrance of Yom Rishon. So he said, Hein shtei hadagas hanal, v'amshoches elikus ba'ilom. Yom Rishon b'shavua mevateyes amshoches elikus ba'ilom, Shahoya Kodesh Baruch Yochid Be'ilome, and that's a very high Indian. Rashi brings it down, and that's why we say Yom Echad. Yeah, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Yochid Be'ilome. There was no other Indian apart from Gilei Lakuz. Akzeh, Oid Koidum L'Kiyum HaTorah Mitzvahs Alidei HaOdom. Oh, that's before the whole Indian of the work on the part of Adam L'Kiyum Torah Mitzvahs. Shari Meduva Dayan Al Koidum Brias HaOdom. We're still talking Yom Rishon several days before the creation of man. He said, Rosh Hashanah, Shu Yom Brias HaOdom, Huam Shochas Targas Elakuz, Shalidei Kiyum HaTorah Mitzvahs, Atzmus Yom Ahusi Yisbarach. Then we bring down a dira, and make a dira lo Yisbarach, but that's the two Rishons, one alongside the other. But he didn't explain what's in Yom Sheni v'Yom Shlishi. He hasn't explained that yet. That's what he's going to explain now in the next portion. But I'm beginning to run a little bit out of my quickness. And my benzene level is going down. But maybe what I could do is describe to you what the Rebbe said. And this is a very amazing thing, which is also shy to today was Kof Bo, which is the second day of creation. It happens to be the second day of creation. So the Rebbe says it's well known in our sages that on the second day of the creation there occurred the appearance of a whole new thing which is called machlokes. A whole new thing was called machlokes. And what was that? That Hashem divided the waters on Yom Sheni. He divided the waters, Mayim Alyenim and Mayim Tach. And there was a division, a split. So that's in from Machlokes. And therefore it's not written B'Yom Sheni. The Bria is not written V'yar Elokim Kitoy. It's not written in expression. V'yar Elokim on the Yom Sheni, because the Indian for Machlokes. What happens on Yom Shlishi? The Rebbe said on Yom Shlishi is we fix up the machlokes. We bring Shalom into the Bria, and there's no more machlokes. So the Rebbe said, what has that got to do? What's it got to teach us? So he said that Chas v'Shalom, the kavanah is not to talk about machlokes, how it is on a bad level and how it is on a low level. If man will sin and he'll fall away from, he can fall into machlokes. I'll tell a person. But that's not what our sages are talking about. Not what the division of the water, not what that's indicating. He said there's a inyan for machlokes in Torah Gufa. We see that in Kedusha, we have the inyan for machlokes. That's brought down in Pirkei Avos, that we say in Perik Chamishi, in Pirkei Avos, we say that Kol machlokes, shehi l'shem shamayim, seifa leiskayim. In other words, there's such a thing as a machlokes, yeah, l'shem shamayim, and the Mishnah says, Eiz machlokes, l'shem shamayim, yeah, machlokes hillel, yeah, b'shamay. So what is the machlokes hillel b'shamay? That expresses a much higher inyan that the Alter Rebbe brings in the Akdama to Tanya, that Hillel was from the Tzad Yamin, he was the Sfiras HaChesed, and what he called Beishama, they were from Sfiras HaGvura. Of America, they're separate. Sfiras HaChesed, Sfiras HaGvura are two inyanim. And therefore they couldn't agree, they couldn't get together, but each one represented a different level in eloquence. However, if we look further in the Sfiras, we see there's a Sfiras HaTiferes. And Sfiras HaTiferes links Chesed and Gevurah together and brings them into a whole new perfection and a whole new middle, which is called Tiferet. So that's in different Shlishi. That I was said when you got two, and then you bring about a third, and therefore the whole inyan from Matan Torah is connected with Shlishi. The whole inyan from Matan Torah there are three in Torah. There's Torah, Nevi'im, Ksuvim. And by Yidden there's Koyanim, Levi'im, V'Yisrael, and Sivan is the Chedusha, Ashlishi. So the Gemara goes into it that the whole inner Matan Torah is connected with Shlishi. And the Hadikoyim, there's the side on the Gemara over there, there's one of the great Geonim, and the Zmana Geonim, the Nissen Goyen. He's got a pirush on Masechet Shabbat. Well, he's got on most Masechtas, the truth is. And he writes over there, there's about another 15 or 20 things connected with Matan Torah that are called Shlishi. And he goes, it's just amazing how he finds Shlishi in a Ribui Inyan. So for that we see that the whole Inyan for Matan Torah is connected with the concept of Shlishi. So the Rebbe said, what is it even Shlishi? Well, that's what we see, that the Bryces brings a Masechta Shabbos, that if you find two things but they disagree one with the other, and then you have a third one, and he's called a Machriya, so that's why a Bezdin has to have three people. It could be that you have two people, one will disagree with the other, and we haven't made a decision. You have to have a Shlishi, and he's Machriya Beinayim. So in the concept of who Machriya Beinayim, Yeshnei Musagim. Now we can say that who Machriya Beinayim means that he goes with one of them. He takes the side of one of them, then you've got two against one. There's another concept of who Machriya Beinayim, that he comes with a higher level of idea, a whole new concept, which it literally links in itself a little bit of that one, a little bit of that one, and it's a whole new concept that everybody will accept. Because it unites part of him, and it's a whole new elevation. That's called another Madrega in Machriya. And that's a Madrega Tiferet. In Asfiras, that's the Indian Tiferet. The Rebbe said that's the Emes Indian from Shlishi. That's Tuesday. That's what Tuesday's about. Sheni was the Machlekes. But he said, so it's a good Machlekes. It's a Machlekes L'Shem Shemayim. It's a Machlekes al Pi Kedusha. Emerson Machlekes. And he said Thursday is that power that unites them together. It's a much higher Gilui. It's how do you call it? The Gilui Elakushel Amayla Miho, you know. Because that indicates that man is getting moving. He's not just a living creation within the perfection of the creation, but he's he's getting to work, and he brings down Elakush that fixes up the whole Machlekes. So the Rebbe said that's how base for Gimel, Monday and Tuesday, indicate the whole story of the creation and the creation of man. But if he said it comes out a very amazing in it, just by the way. That's not something that's written in a Sikha, but it comes out that way. If we learn that way, when it's beyond Sheni, Shlishi, Monday and Tuesday, it comes out if he said that there's a big mila in the second day of Rosh Hashanah. But the second day of Rosh Hashanah is the revelation of the emes of Pu'ula of the Odom, when he was a Machriya Bein a Machlekes. And he brings this whole new perfection into the world, which from that will show that every Inyan in Kedusha goes there, even though we find all the indications, but again, Rosh Hashanah, the Ikka is on the first day. But since there's 2 days Rosh Hashanah, and we go from the first day to the second day, and that indicates that there's an Aliyah and a Shleimus in the second day that the first day doesn't have. And that's this Inyan of Yom HaShlishi Davke, and that's the Inyan from HaMachriya, the Koyach Ein Sof HaAmiti, Shalamaylam Shneihem, but unites them together. And that's precisely to the Maila of not just the Odom being in the creation, but the Odom's doing something. Nishmas Chayim, or Hoya Odom, Nefesh Chayah, B'loshna Me'al Teribim, because you got to get cracking, and you have to do something. That's fulfilled up in the second day of Rosh Hashanah, if he said. that's a pele. Anyway, that's about it for this evening, and that's a pretty hefty business. And so at the end, it's just interesting that the Rebbe says, right at the very end, the Rebbe says a very amazing thing. And he says that it's well known what our Rebbe said, and it means the Alter Rebbe, but it was also developed on by the other Rebbe, that they said that when Moshiach will be in the papers, and the newspapers, will talk about Moshiach, well, that's a sign that Moshiach is very close. So the Rebbe says, well, that's already been Mekuya, it's already got out into the papers. The papers, that was in Toshin on Beit. The Rebbe said they've been talking about Moshiach in the papers. The Rebbe said, but Moshiach hasn't arrived yet. It's a sign that they haven't written in enough paper. So the Rebbe said, you have to make more and more newspapers throughout the whole world should write about Moshiach. That's what he said. Right then. Yeah. In other words, never said it, but even though a lot has been done, all the papers in the whole world have to write about Moshiach.
It's terrible now. Terrible. Yeah. I'll never forget it. It was terrible. For years. I could have stayed here for at least months.
So last week you gave over. Last week you gave over.
Fresh water from the sink.
Hashem created the world for each and every Jew. So now we are supposed to create a diva for Hashem, and he's going to live with me in my diva. It's amazing. I want Hashem as a roommate.
Immediately. Place out and put some mezainis. Bigger plates.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it's like creating a palace.
Right wing. Bring some good mezainis, Gabriel. What are you inviting them for?
It's amazing.
Hello. Guys, don't feel the stomach. We have some special treat for you today.
To have Hashem as a roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
You're ready for it.
Marshall, great purpose. They said that when you want to really go out to Soda, you went out and Soda. The place to meet.
Speaking of Zaynas, I'm going to have some salad. Let's have some salad. Fresh steaks.
I'm sorry I only put it back. Or he gets it, he wants to be here.
That's what we need to do. So what's amazing? So it's not only that Hashem is in the field, the king is in the field, he's even in my apartment. That's amazing.
That's why it's the concept of partnership. But we're partners.
Yeah.
And it's a whole secret. Why does Hashem create the creation trouble? So one of the suggestions that Hashem wanted that power for the trouble.
Did you enjoy the I follow as best as I can, trying to understand.
That Hashem couldn't be
So I can.
They say that your neshama understands perfectly.
I hope so. אני מקווה.
It accrues.
Yeah.
The more the exposure accrues. It begins to wear off on you. Let you know.
Good.
Does anybody teach you in Tanya?
Yeah, we study it ourselves. You know, we've got this little chevra.
That's the beginning of everything, and everything that we learn here is commentary.
We do Chumash, and then we do the daily Tanya, and then it depends. We do some Shulchan Aruch. We do. We were working on some Maimers of the Rebbe with Yossi, with Asi, but he's in the United States right now.
Okay, he'll come back.
And so we do.
I have to point out to you what you're doing is very intense, and essentially you're in yeshiva now. You're doing what's known as the Seder, the order.
Yeah, exactly what we're doing.
It's no simple thing, no easy thing.
The best time to send a palm to the river.
But as we learned in today's Aliyah, it's not up there and it's not over there across the sea, right? It's in here.
Happy birthday to you. No candles.
I'm from a secular background.
Yeah. What? Okay, Ketzat. So,
got your mullet.
And it takes a while for
It's
the secular mindset to begin to appreciate what is there.
yeah.
Because it's foreign. It's actually foreign.
Honey cake?
Your birthday tonight.
Not for you, I
Your
guess.
birthday is Rabbi Gafni. Rabbi Gafni. Your birthday is Chav Zayin. Your birthday is Chav Zayin. Chav 12.
Chayim.
You're the son of Pura.
Chayim.
Waiting for the Tiferet. Well, there's really not a locus. It's just they're talking about different time frames. They're not a machlokas in the Gemara.
And then you bring out and you bring out
Now להעביר את החומוס. רגע,
Let's throw a star.
Then you can use that anywhere, in any business.
Well, I understand that Shammai is talking about
when you feel a little touch of sleeping, and you bring up the
כן?
talking about different time frames. Shammai is Koach, Hillel is Poel, and Shammai is talking about the time of Mashiach, and Hillel is talking about the current time.
Because I never heard of this kind of vodka before.
You know this Heksher?
I know that happened.
Do you know who's the mashgiach for this? Have not said some.
The Abishai
Yeah?
inspired.
So we know it's
Koach
kosher.
and so on.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the brand name. I never heard of it.
Talk about it.
I figured you being a man of the world, you know, would know.
It's matana.
What's what?
Matana.
Ah.
I got the sprouts.
Some plates down here, please.
We don't have enough. We don't have enough.
Yeah. גם לך.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Let's get this open.
Pinchas. What is that? Yehuda. Mazda.
This is a black small or something.
Oh, good.
We erase it.
Where did we get that?
Surprise dish.
Oh, Hashem.
You have to have a little time with that.
So this is another of those questions, Pinchas. This is quinoa, right?
Yeah, I know, from South America.
Yeah, it's a fruit.
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit, it's not a grain. So the whole bracha question. Yeah, Dov. Quinoa is a fruit. It's not a grain. Yeah.
I did not know that.
No. Well, halachically you're going to tell me it's a vegetable. What? But scientifically it's a fruit.
Sir? Oh, you have?
Shabbos.
Try to get some herring. Daniel, can we get some herring? Sir, over here. Can I please?
I would say age before beauty, but you know that that's not so. What? I have it. Give me some.
You need it for herring.
I don't need any more vodka.
Give it to servants.
Should be grapefruit. Let's get Rosh.
חיים.
nitzovim, inshallah.
חיים.
Why is the microphone?
Who did get a hearing?
Oh, hearing. That's a different hearing. It's a different?
My speech is worse. My speech is worse.
Lama lo.
Sushi, right?
Excuse me. Do we need the microphone?
You're live, man.
No. I'm saying something privately. Everybody in Tsfat can hear.
Secrets, no secrets.
I don't think it's limited.
נחס von alle Talmidim. Wonach alle Talmidim. Alle Kinder. Der Haus gesund und wir Hashem. Der schon Weihach mit Hashem. Mit so mit fleischige Augen, so fleischige Augen so mit sehen. Mashiach Tzidkeinu, wir in seinen alle Unionen von Parashat Shavua. Alle Unionen, wir können nicht sehen. Also jeder Regel soll so haben Aksive nach Aksive Dreiber, schon hat er besuchen, wir haben es gerufen.
hier niet daar gekomen, ik zeg zo maar. Ja.
Yehuda. Is Messiah in Yom, with the Emulet, is a Masedek. Is Messiah in Yom, is a Masedek. One hour Rosh Hashanah.
Yom Rishon.
Rob Gafni's blessing us.
Since I have a very special prayer this evening, I still got it. My younger letters was yesterday already, but I still have the prayer. I wish everybody brachas ad b'lidai b'evin shalamayla mikol gvul. Like we saw here, the Indian from Gilead Atzmusi is better. There should be brachas v'atzlachas ad b'lidai mamish b'gashmias v'baruch nias v'gashmias kam yachad. We should all go Mailami Tam V'Dav. We should all meet in the Anana Ishmaya and be in Yerushalayim Al Yad Kodesh HaKadoshim, ועל יד Beis HaMikdash השלישי, in the grace of Farbrengen, it's going to be with the Rebbe. Take it from me out. And just by the way, everybody knows the story that the Arizal, when he went out in the field on the Erev Shabbat, and he said to the Talmudim, we're already going to Yerushalayim. But it's well known that at that time there was a big tzapiyah, the Mashiach, by Grace Gedel Israel, the Rabbanim Gedolim, the Charedim, Ba'od Kamu. All of a sudden the Arizal said that now is the moment. And it's well known that there was how they call it, fisfus. Unfortunately, some of the Talmudim blew the opportunity. And so we're not going to do that. And we can't do it. Why? Because the Rebbe already told us that we're on the way, we're moving. So we've got to keep moving. We can't come up with any balabatish tirutim, or balabatish chelkoinas, that we're going to get out of this crazy college. And just a ago, I saw in our Savior a few weeks ago that was brought down that when the Arizal said to the Talmudim, it was only just a few minutes before Kabbalah Shabbat. So, how did he imagine they were going to get to Yerushalayim in a very short amount of time? So the answer, Parashat, is on the Anan Ishmaya, the scholar, the Anan Ishmaya. So they'll all go over, and the Rebbe said in one of the siddhas that the Anan Ishmaya will travel much faster than planes, even jet plane. But the Anan Ishmaya will travel. So they would be b'yecheles to get to Jerusalem. However, just by the way, it's just of interest to know that they claimed that the Arizal knew, and he was the only one that knew, that there was a secret tunnel under the ground from Tzfat, directly under the ground, as a crow flies directly to Jerusalem, but even more than as a crow flies. And it would only take 18 minutes to walk at a reasonable pace from Tzfat to Jerusalem. Yeah. Through this hidden tunnel that there was. Suction. And the Arizal knew about it. So maybe he meant that they would use that tunnel and get to Jerusalem. But whatever way, everything's moving. How cool, it's all in a state of moving. So we can't slow down. We mustn't slow up. We've got to keep the flow. We're all moving towards Moshiach. In every deal in life we have to see that this is another step forward to a great and unbelievable perfection. So like we saw in the Sikha, that the way the world is perfect. But man comes along and he adds, and I just spoke with Pinchas Eliyahu, that doesn't mean man in general. That means each individual man, each individual person has got to say that he's going to make the deer the way it's brought. So if you look in Perek 51, in Tanya, you'll see that that's the implication. Of Ochaponim, there's a whole new Shleimas brought in the creation through the Beit order. What the Rebbe is aiming at is something even higher than that. The Rebbe with the whole Moshiach campaign is aiming that even if you made this world into a dira, and you made the world into a very higher place of Gilei eloquence, but it's not Betachlis Agilei. It's there, but it's not Betachlis Agilei. Because as they state in Parashat Dvorim, in Rekuti Torah, that it's like you have something in a safe, it's there, you can get at it, but it's not Pegalui. So what the Rebbe is aiming is that Atzmas Mahuz will be Pegalui, it will be in revelation. And the Farbrengen on Harabayis will be Mitoi Kiloi Atzmas Mahuz. Not just that Atzmas Mahuz is dwelling amongst us, that it will all be Begoloi, which means that the Rebbe is aiming for a new perfection. There's three perfections. There's a perfection of the Shlema, the perfection of the mitzvah, the Bria, and then there's another perfection that we make a Dira, but that Dira is not but Taklis, I call it, it's not yet but Giloi Mamish. And then there's a third perfection, and that will be Begoloi Mamish, Atmas and Mahus Mamish Begoloi. And that's Yini for Mashiach. And that's the Rebbe. The Rebbe's aim is that. That's the whole thing. Remember, we're going to realize that we haven't finished yet. We're on there's an old expression in English, we're on the home run. You know? We're on the home run. But we're going to finish the job. And that is Atzmas u'Mahus Elakuz B'Dira B'Golu. Yeah, B'Zeh Ha'olam. Yeah, Kipshutai. That's well known. That in the Sefer Tel Sholem, the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe Rashab says that if he locks himself in a room and he learns the Kuti Torah or any Sefer Siddur, then he feels and he lives Atzmas Ein Sof. That's what he said. He's aware of Atzmas Ein Sof. Yeah, it's almost mind-blowing. That means that if we really lock ourselves up with our mind Siddur, if we really get ourselves into it, we're holding by Atzmas Ein Sof. Guys, it's not so personal, the whole thing. It's, you think the whole thing's absurd, you know. And that's a kola ve'elecha hador ma'id. Yeah, beficha v'vachel, that's what he said. And through the Tanya, it becomes tachet kola. Through Pnimis